Nobody wants to fail, and we failed. And again, people are going to go in the comments and say you didn't fail, and I appreciate all of you that say that, but we failed, 100%.
Everything that happens is motivation.
All right, let's talk. All right, so as most of you know, we put out a challenge in the beginning of this year to pay off our mortgage of $130K in 130 days. I put out a video pretty much everywhere, a long form piece of video kind of explaining how the challenge was going to go on YouTube. And then I put out a bunch of short form everywhere else, including YouTube and places like that. And I never really came back and fully explained how the challenge went and where we ended. I did a little short form piece of content, but pretty much every day I go live, I get the same question. Where are you at in the challenge? Where are you at in the challenge? Every single live. If you've been to my lives, you know that that's the most asked question. And I hate answering it. I think you guys can see it on my face when I answer it. It sucks because we completely failed at the challenge. And some people will comment, and I'm sure we'll get the comments like we did on our video that we put out before, explaining where we are and why we ended the challenge. But the people will say, you know, you did a good job, you didn't fail. And I get what you're saying, but we failed. So let me explain how the challenge went from the beginning, why it failed, how it failed, and where we're at today and where we're going to move forward with Whatnot and move forward from there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is going to be a raw video. I'm literally just going to make this video. I'm going to talk the whole time, just explain, just raw. No script, no nothing, just off the top of my head. The only thing I'm going to script is I have numbers behind me just so I can read off, but numbers from the shows and numbers from Whatnot and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Even though we failed, I hope it inspires somebody. That's the main goal. But how it started. So my buddy and I, Chris at Peak, were talking last year. It was like November of last year. And we're always like storming up ideas, content. Chris and I talk pretty much every single night, sending voice messages back and forth as we're doing late night work. Kind of like right now. I'm supposed to be doing work, but I'm filming this video. And we normally talk back and forth. I actually have like 3 messages from him I have to read right now after this video. And we were talking about like social media ideas and how to grow, and we were doing really good on Whatnot, both of us, and we're like, you know, love to grow on Whatnot. And in the background, I was constantly trying to figure out an idea to start out the new year, like with a new like idea, new plan. And it just struck me one night, I think I was laying in bed, and it just struck me like it'd be cool to pay off my mortgage. And then I was kind of going back and forth with it for a couple days. And then I proposed the idea to Chris, and I was like, what if I pay off my mortgage in 90 days? And he's like, 90 days? How much do you have? And I was like, 130K. And he's like, that's crazy. But if you think you can do it, go for it. That's like really cool, kind of like headline. And I'm like, yeah, it is a really cool headline. And then after we talked for a couple days, I landed on 130K in 130 days. Basically, it's $1,000 profit per day. And I would use Whatnot primarily to get there. Whatnot shows would get us there. We were doing really good. We just had a November show, a Black Friday show. I think we did like 200 items, and I think we did like $6,000 or $8,000 in sales. Don't quote me on that. It was a lot. We did good amount of sales on that. It was pretty much primarily all pre-owned clothing. That's what we do on most of our shows if you haven't been to our shows yet. So going in from that show and heading into the new year, I was like, all right, I have the crowds, I have the right inventory, I need to do something crazy like this. So I thought of the idea. I saw the video from Gary Vee that he had the interview with Steve-O, and I was like, this works perfect. I'm going to use that as my headliner and push out the challenge from there. And my whole goal of this challenge, and Chris and I went over numbers and everything, and he said from the beginning it's going to be hard, but I think you can do it. He's like, you're one of the people that I know most that can really put your head down and get something like this done. So the goal from the beginning was to start slow and do 5 shows a week, and then from 5 shows a week possibly get up to 7 shows a week, and then possibly doing a daytime and a midday show. And also the way we're going to get the inventory is through consignment. As our shows did better and better, the consigners and people in the shows would be like, hey, I'm a reseller, I have a bunch of this kind of inventory, I'm going to send it to you, and because you're getting good money for it, and I'll take 70-30 splits. That's a no-brainer. Like I can just source the item, send it to you, and I can make a profit, and I get paid out like pretty much same day. Some consigners are getting paid same day or next day. And that was the goal, to grow the shows so big that consignment was just rolling in left and right. We didn't have to go source, because the hardest part is sourcing and getting those items listed and getting the shows run and making sure everything's good before you press live. The consignment was going to get us there because that would limit our sourcing. We would basically have to source at all. Consignment would come in and we'd do 70-30 splits. The thing I didn't take into account is I needed to do more of my own items, because after the 30 split, we're not really making a ton of money. We're making a good amount of money, but we're not making enough to get the challenge done. We needed to do more of our own inventory in the beginning. And I think the profit would have been a lot higher from the beginning, and that would have helped us get even more of our goal done. Would that have got us to our goal? Probably not. So beginning when we first started, we were doing really, really good. And I've put out short form pieces of content about our numbers, and there's people out there, I've heard it from many other people to relaying the messages to me that people think my numbers are faked. I'll pop up somewhere on the screen my spreadsheet right here, and you can also go back and rewatch the Whatnot shows, and you can go look at my eBay sales. It's all public information, so there's nothing. I literally can't fake it. If I faked it, everybody would know that I was faking it. They would just be like, I was in your show and you didn't sell that much stuff. We did 1,525 units in January and 1,505 in February. $35,457.51 in sales in January and $36,510 in sales in February. We had 2 really good months. That's over $70,000 in sales in the first 2 months of the challenge. And we didn't start the challenge until January 9th. I don't think I said that in the beginning of the video. We waited till basically our kids went back to school because they were on winter break, and that's when we started going for the challenge. So those January numbers, I think that we had like 1 Whatnot show in there before the 9th, and then we started the challenge. So we probably did like right around 70K in the first January, February, first 2 months. And then we also had eBay sales. We did about 23,000 in sales on eBay. And this is just, it's not brag, this is transparency. Like, those numbers aren't fake. The numbers I put in those videos are not fake. And the people who are in our shows know those numbers aren't fake. The problem was, and what I should have done, is when I saw that I had the crowds like I did, I should have doubled the shows. Those numbers should have been doubled from the beginning. And that would have, if we would have done that from the beginning, which again, I wouldn't have known this. I thought the shows were going to increase over time, and we'll get to that. If I would have known this, then I would have done it. I would have doubled the amount of items in the shows, and I sold $3,000 items on those 2 months and made double the money. But hindsight's 2020. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know the crowds were going to dip, and that would have really helped us at the end. The goal was to build the shows up so much in the first 90 to 120 days, and then in the last 10 days when we were super close to getting our goal, whether it was 50,000 or 40,000 off from our goal, I would have just literally sold all of my eBay inventory. I would, right now I have over $100,000 in inventory list on eBay. So if I continued to do that and I had $100,000 of inventory list on eBay, and let's say I had 50,000 left towards the goal, I would have just sold all that stuff off. Obviously I wouldn't have made 100,000, and that's why I wouldn't make that 50, because I'd sell everything for about 50% based off what our prices were on the show. By the way, we primarily only sold pre-owned clothing, and our average sales price hovered around $24 during that period of time. That's really good for Whatnot. So if I'm selling Vineyard Vine shirts for $24, that's really good. That's basically full eBay prices. If we would have got close to our goal, I would have clearanced everything off, and then that would have gave me a couple more days to figure out how to get a little bit more inventory in to finish the goal off. That was the whole plan. And we were on track until the end of February. Once March hit, I noticed a downturn in the crowds, and there's probably a couple reasons for this. One, the inventory started to change. We were heading out of winter months, which is jacket season. Jackets tend to go for more money. That's why most people like it when we start heading to the winter months, because people start listing those jackets on eBay Poshmark, and you get more money for those jackets. Instead of sending an average sales price of like $30 to $35 for shirts, now you're averaging $50 to $60 for jackets. Usually is what happens. You get a little bit of an increase with those kind of items. And we were starting to transition into the summer months, which means our profit per unit was starting to go down. People weren't really interested in jackets anymore because they already had their jackets. Now they're interested in short sleeve, but short sleeves don't bring them as much money in. And then we saw a downtick in our crowds. We went from having 200, there was one show we had over 300 people in our show. I think that's the show we did with Surfs and Ethan. We started to see that number go 200, 180, 170. It's almost like somebody was turning a dial, and it went under 100. And this is not just for our shows, by the way. Literally every reseller in our community had at the same time an issue with getting people into their shows. I have a couple theories on why this happened. One, it could have been just summer slowdown is starting to turn up and people are running out of that Christmas money and, they're not able to spend as much. Two, I think Whatnot's algorithm changed a little bit when it came to notifying buyers. I was getting people coming to my show saying I never got a notification halfway through the show, and they always got a notification. People who bought from me every week were not getting notifications. And Whatnot, if you're listening to this, if somebody buys from your show, they should get a notification for every single show from there on out, because they've already solidified themselves as a buyer. So why wouldn't you want to notify somebody that's already bought from somebody, had a great experience, especially if they've given them a good review? They should always get a notification whenever they go live. That's just a no-brainer. Another thing is Whatnot was really pushing the promoted shows at that time, and I don't know whether they tweaked the way they send notifications for regular shows. But we used to always be on the For You page. We used to be at the very top of the For You page because we had so many people in our show, and we weren't on that page anymore. And then also, people are getting notifications for promoted shows that they're not interested in. And what I mean by that is people will promote their shows, and Whatnot will give everybody, or a good majority of the users, a notification. So if somebody's doing a card show, I'll get a notification for a card show because they promoted their show. And all that does is train the consumer not to pay attention to those notifications, because I'm not interested in cards. So why am I getting a notification for card shows? Because the person promoted it? No, I've never showed interest in those things. So why give me a promotion for that? So I think that hurt the crowds too, because then people started getting all these notifications and now they're ignoring them, and they're going to ignore your notification when they normally came to your show, but they're just so used to ignoring Whatnot notifications. Another thing that happens on Whatnot too is there's a lot of sellers on there selling bad items. That's just flat out obvious. There's a lot of complaints I've heard over the year that I've been on Whatnot. People will buy items from sellers, and the sellers will hold up the item really quick and sell it to them, and then they'll get it in and the item will be flawed. And it's, eBay sellers that are hopping on Whatnot and selling stuff for $1 or $2 because they know they can't sell it on eBay because it's so flawed. And that really hurts the consumer. And sure, Whatnot gives those people refunds, and by no means am I perfect. I've sold items that have minor flaws in them or have major flaws in them that I completely missed because we were doing such fast shows that I was missing flaws. That's another reason. Fast shows are not the best shows. Putting up shows fast, your quality control goes down. But I would always refund that customer. I would always send them a coupon for the full amount or over the full amount and say, hey, I'm sorry, keep the item. Here's a coupon. Next show, buy something from us and you get a full coupon. So basically you get 2 items for the price of 1. I was always transparent. This was a consignment item, I must have missed it, or this is my own item, I must have missed it, I apologize. But there's sellers on Whatnot that are literally selling garbage, like real garbage, and and they're selling them, and it's hurting the reputation of Whatnot. But during that time, we were selling pre-owned clothing, and we were doing really good with it because we're bringing in those brands that sell well on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. So we're able to bring in the reseller crowd that's interested in our items and the natural consumer that's interested in our items. But I think with all that combined and the dip of the shows, it was just impossible to get this challenge done. And I saw it happening in March, and it killed me inside that we couldn't do it. And I think those of you who watched the last couple shows we did could really tell the energy was down. It just wasn't fun. We also introduced new shoes, which was great in the beginning. And I think after a while, people just got tired of shoes. I was trying to do the shoe thing and it wasn't working. I still have shoes behind me that we have listed that are slowly selling right now. But I think all that combined with the dip in the shows, introducing a new product, and possibly Whatnot's notification being a little flawed, the shows dipped and there was just no way to complete the goal. And it really sucks. I really wanted to complete this goal, and I think we could have done it or came super close to getting it done if all this didn't happen. Those of you who were in our first shows in January, February, it was crazy good. We had so many people in there. We were having so much fun, and it just almost like in a blink of an eye, it just flipped. And the last few shows we did in April, we had less than 100 people. I think one show we did 65 people, which for most people on Whatnot is great. But for what we were trying to do, there's no way to get it done with 65 people in your chat. There's just no way. You have to do $1,000 profit per day. I would have to sell like 300 units to be able to get to there. and it just wasn't going to happen. And by the way, our shows are still doing great. It just, our last few shows, and this is 100% transparency, our last few shows, we did around $500 profit on each one of those shows. To most people, that would be like, why are you not doing Whatnots? It doesn't make any sense. You're making $500 profit, and you can do those shows twice a week, and that's $1,000 a week in profit that you're bringing in. That's a no-brainer. But the problem is, because I couldn't hit that goal, it's almost like I can't get past that wall. It's like, I'm not going to be able to hit that goal, so I got to take a step back from Whatnot, reassess the situation, and then come back to Whatnot with a fresh mind. And that's where I'm at. And this is, I didn't tell Kayla I was making this video. I didn't tell anyone as I'm making this video. This is just for me to get off my chest in front of you guys and explain it, because I'm all about transparency. I'm transparent with my numbers, transparent with my life. I go live all the time. You see where I'm at. You see what I'm doing. This part is the hardest to be transparent about, because nobody wants to fail. And we failed. And again, people are going to go in the comments and say you didn't fail. And I appreciate all of you that say that, but we failed 100%. And I wish we didn't. I can't say that enough. I know a lot of people think this wasn't planned out well enough, and it was planned. Every part of this was planned, and I really wish we could have hit the goal. So where are we at now? Well, obviously we're not doing those goals anymore. I can't put myself through that. It's not so much the negativity you get from people on the internet. There's going to be trolls, and I've done the internet long enough now. I've done videos for a year and a half, 2 years. I think we're going on 2 years now, that I'm used to trolls. I actually enjoy them because I comment back to them and they fuel my videos, and I don't mind. But for my sake, I hate failing. I'm competitive. People who have been in our lives know this. My sister knows this. She'll tell you guys I'm super competitive. I've always been competitive, and the fact that I failed, and I failed this loud, sucks. So yeah, will we do Whatnot shows again? Of course. I think we're going to do a show the end of June, and we'll probably do shows month after month, probably like 1 to 2 shows a month, just to keep it going, and keep the live wheels turning on Whatnot, and think of new ideas. I really want to do pallets down the road, but I want to get good inventory. I don't want to sell junk. I want to get good inventory. I always want to sell good inventory, because I almost feel bad if I bring on junk and try to sell it to my viewers. If I'm selling you stuff that I wouldn't normally pick up, I feel awful. And I've done one of those shows when Zerfs and Ethan were here. I bought out an eBay store thinking it was really good inventory, and it ended up being junk, and I had to sell it on Whatnot because I had to get rid of it. And I felt horrible after that show. You can ask Zerfs and Ethan. I felt horrible. I told them how horrible I felt after that show. I don't want to do that. So we're looking for ways to source better inventory to bring to Whatnot. But I'm also really enjoying getting back into the eBay grind. Last month, again, full transparency, last month on eBay, well, the first few months of this year, our eBay and Poshmark Mercari sales tanked because we're so focused on Whatnot for obvious reasons. And coming back into Whatnot in May, I was able to pick up my sales and increase them from 10,000 to 12,000 on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and now I sell on Depop. And then the following month, so last month May, last month in May, we did 15,000 in sales. So we're able to increase it from 12,000 to a little over 15,000 in sales. So I'm really enjoying getting back into that. That's where I've been. That's my bread and butter, is selling on eBay, and I'm really enjoying getting back into the community and getting back into that part of reselling. I also enjoy doing Whatnots. So will we do those in the future? Yes, but I don't think we're going to do them as hard for that reason, for mental health reasons, for family reasons. During that period of time, we weren't really getting out and doing much because we're so focused on setting up shows, and it's really nice to be able to enjoy my weekends and spend time with the family. So yeah, that's where we're at. I wanted to put this video out so that way I can send people to this video and they can see, and they can hear what I have to say about it. And again, this is a raw video. I know this was probably long and it was rambly and all that stuff, but this is how I felt that I should present this. It shouldn't be a well-edited video and all that stuff. I think you guys should hear it from me, exactly where I'm at and what I think we're going to do in the future. So I appreciate all of the support. I appreciate everybody who supported us during the challenge, after the challenge, before the challenge, that still support us. And I do understand there are people that aren't going to support because of whatever reasons they come up with, whether they think that we're faking it till we make it, all that stuff. Those aren't my target audience anyway. The people that come and support us and that we're able to help teach how to do what we do, those are the people that I like focusing on. So for those people, we 100% appreciate you guys. No more challenges, but we're still going to do the same thing that we've done. And I'm really enjoying doing the same thing that we were doing before we did this challenge show. I hope you guys like this video. If you guys like this kind of video, I can bring more of these just talking videos. Everybody's in bed. Bring the videos, bring the camera, and just literally talk. Yeah, if you like this video, make sure you liked it, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys talking and sitting with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.